Today on Bench Briefs, we're looking at a landmark Supreme Court of Canada decision that tackles the delicate balance between holding judges accountable and protecting judicial independence. On this episode, we dive into Therrien, a 2001 case that explores how judges can be disciplined and what safeguards must be in place to ensure fairness. The story begins with Mr. Therrien, a federally appointed judge who found himself facing serious allegations of misconduct. The Canadian Judicial Council, which oversees complaints against federally appointed judges, launched an inquiry into these accusations. After investigating, the council recommended that Mr. Therrien be removed from office. This recommendation sparked a complex legal debate about how judicial discipline should be conducted, especially when the stakes are so high for judicial independence and the rule of law. At its core, the case raises important questions. Did the Judicial Council follow a fair process in investigating and recommending removal? What standard of proof should apply in such disciplinary proceedings? How do these disciplinary processes fit within Canada's constitutional framework, specifically the protections set out in the Constitution Act 1867? And finally, what role should the courts play when reviewing recommendations to remove a judge? Let's break down the facts first. Mr. Therrien was accused of conduct that the Judicial Council considered serious enough to warrant removal. The council held an inquiry which involved gathering evidence and hearing from various parties. After completing their investigation, the council concluded that Mr. Therrien's conduct justified removal from the bench. However, Mr. Therrien challenged the process and the recommendation, arguing that the procedures used did not meet the standards of procedural fairness that are essential in such serious matters. This challenge made its way through the courts and eventually reached the Supreme Court of Canada. The court had to carefully consider what procedural fairness means in the context of judicial discipline. After all, judges hold a unique position in our democracy. They must be independent and free from improper influence, but they also must be held accountable if they engage in misconduct. Striking the right balance is no easy task. The court examined whether the Judicial Council's inquiry provided Mr. Therrien with a fair opportunity to respond to the allegations and to know the case against him. It also considered what standard of proof should apply. Should the council be required to prove misconduct beyond a reasonable doubt, like in a criminal trial? Or would a lower standard, such as a balance of probabilities, be more appropriate? Importantly, the court looked at the constitutional protections afforded to federally appointed judges under the Constitution Act 1867. Judges can only be removed by the Governor General on address of the Senate and House of Commons, and only for cause. This constitutional safeguard is designed to protect judicial independence by making removal difficult and ensuring it is based on serious grounds. The court had to determine how the Judicial Council's role fits into this broader constitutional process. In its decision, the Supreme Court clarified that the Judicial Council's inquiry must adhere to principles of procedural fairness. The judge under investigation must be given notice of the case against them, a fair opportunity to respond, and a transparent process. The court also held that the standard of proof in judicial discipline proceedings is the civil standard, the balance of probabilities, not the criminal standard. This makes sense because disciplinary proceedings are not criminal trials, but they nonetheless have serious consequences. Moreover, the court emphasized that the Judicial Council's recommendations are not final decisions to remove a judge. Instead, the Constitution requires that removal be authorized by the Governor General on address of Parliament. This means that the Judicial Council's role is to investigate and recommend, but the ultimate decision lies with the political branches, providing an additional layer of protection for judicial independence. Why does this case matter? Therrien is a cornerstone in Canadian law when it comes to judicial discipline. It sets clear rules about how judges can be held accountable without compromising their independence. The case ensures that judges facing removal have a fair process. which protects their rights and upholds public confidence in the justice system. At the same time, it respects the constitutional framework that guards against arbitrary or politically motivated removals. This decision also provides guidance for future judicial disciplinary proceedings, helping maintain the delicate balance between accountability and independence that is essential for a functioning democracy. It reassures both the public and judges that misconduct will be addressed fairly and transparently, without undermining the impartiality of the judiciary. Thanks for listening to this episode of Bench Briefs. Join us next time as we explore another important case shaping Canadian law. Until then, take care.